So just to kind of recap, the things that we saw that allowed Sammy to grow were giving him the choice of what alternatives to do for aggression, such as the walk away, and then giving him the choice about what work order he would like to complete things in, and then providing him with a lot of positive reinforcement and letting him know when he's doing a great job with something or when he's making a positive choice that impacts his academics positively or his peers or things like that. He also seemed to be motivated by like tangibles such as the sticker chart and positive notes sent home. Is that something that you think has been working, or do you think that we should, do you have any suggestions for any other things that he's motivated by?
Well, I think the notes home really helped me, and I think they help him too, because most of the time, because they're positive, he gets excited about it. But it also helps me because then I can give him the same praise and that we can reinforce that. But he likes to go outside a lot, so I don't know off the top of my head if there's anything we could do differently, but I know that we both really enjoy the notes going home.
Okay, and I think that that's something that we can continue to do, and we're glad that that helps you guys. So, in comparison to his peers, the results of the intervention show that there's less of a discrepancy. So like the other academic chart that we showed you, there is a behavior chart, and so here's the peer expected performance and then the individual's performance, and as you can see, it's really not, there's the discrepancy, and there really isn't a high discrepancy after the intervention, and that's something that we found to be very positive for him. So now Sammy is able to better comply with directions and stay on task and exhibit appropriate behavior when he's interacting with his peers. He's made significant improvement in both his academic and social needs. Now we're going to talk about educational needs, and that includes like instructional strategies, activities, supports, and accommodations and modifications. So these are things that we might see that Sammy needs that would be helpful for him to be successful in and out of the classroom. So for Sammy's instruction, we felt like it would be best for him if it was done in an explicit manner. So he really liked it when we modeled things. So I do, we do, and then you do. So the teacher would model it, and then Sammy and the teacher would do it together, or Sammy and a small group would do it together with the teacher, and then Sammy would do a similar task on his own, and that we found that to be helpful for him to complete tasks and learn new skills. We also found that he likes when he has additional practice with the skills, and he feels more confident about completing tasks. So in addition to this kind of core instruction where we're working with Sammy in a one-on-one or a small group, we found that, or we think that instruction should occur 30 minutes per day, so that we could channel his motivation and really accelerate his rate of progress. And this instruction would follow a research-based kind of scope and sequence. So we would use what we see as best practice in the research. and that's something that we'll communicate with you about, and whether or not you agree with kind of what kind of instruction we're using. But again, basically we would like to focus on modeling positive and negative reinforcement strategies, assistance when beginning tasks, and asking for help when he's unsure. Sammy's instruction in reading, we felt like, and we'd like your feedback on this. So for reading, we kind of talked about how increasing accuracy for word recognition, identifying vowel sounds in words, decoding blends and multisyllabic words, and then increasing fluency and accuracy in reading connected text. So what that means is those 4 things would be what we would base Sammy's instruction on. And so I'm not sure if you have any questions about them, or if you have any suggestions, or if you think that one of them shouldn't be there, or you should add another one.
It's okay.
Okay. And then for written expression, we found that Sammy would need to focus on encoding letter sounds and vowel patterns to spell words. So that's kind of like with the writing and the spelling errors that we identified earlier, that would be something to focus on. Developing ideas for writing, because we know that he is an auditory learner and likes to express things verbally, so this would be something that would help him to get it down on paper. Planning and organizing in preparation for writing, and applying appropriate writing mechanics. So do you have any questions, or?
How can I help him improve in both of these areas at home?
At home?
Yeah.
That's a great question. Maybe our reading teacher could give us some feedback about what she could do at home.
I would say just keep reading with him and maybe go through word by word and kind of, like as you're reading, explore each word in the sentence structure and how each word is spelled, things like that, and just repeat it every night, and I think that would help a lot.
Okay.
Another thing with the writing is maybe you and him can start a journal. Write a journal every night about how the day was or how he's feeling, things he did that he enjoyed, anything, just be creative with it.
Yeah, and maybe you can't journal every night, just because we understand you guys have a family and life gets busy, but maybe if you're doing it like every other night, and maybe Sammy gets to choose what he wants to write about, that might be something that he would really enjoy, and that will also help his writing skills. For behavior, we felt like Sammy should continue to use appropriate physical and social skills regarding following directions and task completion. So an alternative curriculum is really not needed because we've seen that Sammy is independent and can choose to make the positive choice. He just needs a little bit of reminders. The curriculum used was kind of like a small group setting that will just talk about the skills. However, he can solve his disagreements or when he becomes aggressive on his own. Then for environment, we found that Sammy benefits from a small group setting, and this gives him the opportunity to respond right away, and then for us to give him direct feedback right away, and reinforce the positive things that he's doing. we feel like Sammy benefits from having posted expectations, so maybe like in the classroom we have like class rules for everyone to follow, but those are posted, and so we can say, Sammy, remember the expectations, and so then he can say, oh yeah, okay, I'll remember, and I'll then he knows what choices to make. Pre-corrections, so just prompting him to evaluate whether or not choices would be positive or negative, and then giving tons of positive feedback when he follows those expectations or guidelines in the classroom. He has also benefited from identifying what triggers his aggression, so maybe when he does become aggressive, that's something that either the guidance counselor, or if there's co-teaching going on, maybe one of the teachers could help him to identify what happened and help him to think about problem solving in that specific situation. So you also asked about what else you could do at home, and one thing that came up is that we can show you how to practice word recognition, and so that's something that you guys could do in addition to the other things that we were talking about. We were thinking that Sammy would receive the continued support from the school-wide character counts program, the home and school communication system, so when we send a note home, and if you have any questions, you send notes to us, and we think that will help. We've also, the last thing that we kind of talked about was Sammy's needs in the general education classroom. So we decided that maybe he works better in a small group or more individualized instruction with certain curriculum modifications, like prompting ahead of time, or going back through material and practicing, that would go beyond the general education program. Does that sound like something that you would like to see for Sammy, or is there something that you would like to add or take away?
I don't think so. I think maybe I'm a little nervous because it's different than just the general education classes, but I think if we think it's best for Sammy, that I'm willing to give it a try.
Okay, and if we give it a try and it seems like it's not working for Sammy, then that's something that we can meet again about and discuss what would work best for Sammy, because we all are here for what would work best for Sammy and what would work best for you. And so any of your feedback at any time is really important to this. Based on what we've talked about today, I know it was a lot of information, but based on what you have just let us know, that you would be comfortable with him being in small group or intensive individual instruction, we would like Sammy to continue to improve, and so part of that would be having Sammy have individual instruction for 30 minutes a day in the special education classroom with the reading, with Miss Reed and the special education teacher. Do you think that that's something that would help him, just to focus on reading and writing? And then something for behavior would just to be to continue to identify his, when he feels aggression, what would be a positive choice and a negative choice, and have him self-monitor that, and then check in with his teachers. So, thank you all for coming. It was really nice to meet you.